So, unfortunately, I'm here to talk about a problem that we have. That is that 75% of shop classes in California have disappeared since the 80s. This is a true fact. And so there's this ancient Chinese proverb that came to mind, and it's, what is it? Tell me and I'll forget. It's not there, so I can't remember. Show me and I may remember. Who knows what comes after this? Anyone? Involve me and I'll understand. So, ancient Chinese proverb, we've known this for quite a while. But there's also tons of academic research out there backing this thing up. So why are shop classes going away? I don't know, budgets, whatever. And so I propose a solution, which is this. It's a metal angle iron bracket that's called a catalyst. And I think that we should give one of these to every student in the entire world. Put it right there. And so what people do with it is they add legs to it, and they add a seat part to it, and they get a Wikiseat. Pretty simple. And so these are two students from a 10th grade American literature class that built Wikiseats in a literature class, and I'll let them explain.
So describe to me your experience with the Wikiseat project.
I really enjoyed the Wikiseat project. It was just a lot of fun and extremely different from what you do in a normal high school classroom. Mm-hmm. And compared to my classes now, I just miss having something like that to work on.
Why? What made it so interesting?
It was just the last thing that would come to mind when you thought of English class was making a chair, but somehow it totally tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Weird, but she had fun.
You participated in the Wikiseat project last year. What do you think was the biggest thing you took away from that project now this a year later?
It really just made me feel like I can complete any assignment that I want to do. Because I used to really didn't want to do assignments because I felt like they were too difficult. And after doing that, nothing feels difficult anymore.
Good. What was what made this different than other projects you'd worked on in school before?
I've never really done anything that's construction. I've always done worksheets and tests, and it was probably the best test I've ever done in my entire life.
Excellent. When you first heard the assignment and you first got that catalyst, what did you think about the whole thing?
At first I didn't really understand how it was going to work with making a chair, but after really it was seen with the sticks in it, I really got the hang of it.
All right, well, thank you very much, David.
So these two students, there's I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 interviews with this particular group of students after the project, and everybody universally loves it. After they do it, going into it, it's kind of weird, they don't really get it, but if you jump in, you have fun. And to get a sense of agency from school and to feel like you can accomplish anything, not just in your school life, but you can take that outside of school and do other cool stuff with it. And so right now there's a whole bunch of schools and classes all over the country doing this project. But how on earth did this happen? Why are people building chairs in English class? Why are there 23 classrooms all over the country that are building chairs? So I'll tell a short story. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was studying design at Ohio State University, and we had one of those anything assignments where you can build in anything and you have to think about what you want to think about for the next 10 weeks. And so anything that I decided I want to build was a chair. And I was walking home from my apartment and I was like, oh, I'll build a chair. Every designer has to do that at some point. And so I got it in my head that I had to build a chair that night and I would only use materials that I found in my apartment. And so I went home and I built a chair. And it was kind of worked. It was some broken picture frame and some plastic shopping bags and some rope, and I sat in it, and it was folding in on itself, and the legs were all sliding by. I'm not very good at tying knots, and so this was a problem. I didn't build a very good chair, and so I was like, okay, maybe it needs some sort of structural support. So I took some pins and some clay, and I made this model, and I got the idea for this shape, and I built this metal jig out of threaded rod and corner bead from drywall or whatever, and some angle iron, and I built this thing. It's the catalyst, and I took all the same materials from the first chair plus the catalyst, and I put all that together, and it's a chair, and I could sit on it, and it worked, and it was stable, and so that's a nicer picture of it. And so this was 2 weeks into the project, and it was for a 10-week project. And so I ran into another problem. It's like, what do I do for the next 8 weeks? And so I asked, like, I wanted to build a chair. Maybe other people want to build chairs. So I built 10 more of these things and gave them out to people. And they built chairs. And they liked building chairs. It was cool. There was another problem, though. The leg of the chair, if you want to get it to sit flat on the floor, it's kind of a difficult thing. And some people tried really, really hard, and they wasted all this wood and time. And like one person got hives trying to get the leg flat. I'm not going to disclose who that was, but somebody else had solved that problem. Basically, what you do is the tool in number 2 is a pencil on a thing, and you like draw a line around, and then you cut the. And it's a tool, and it solves that one very specific problem. And so I was thinking, like, everybody that's going to build this chair is going to have that same problem if they want to make flat legs. And so I made a website. It was built on Wikimedia, which is the same thing as Wikipedia, which is where the name kind of ties in. And I put that on the website, and I put the instructions for how to build that tool on the website, which was the entire reason for having it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to make 100 of these. I'm going to give them out to whoever wants. Like, it was purely voluntary. I said, hey, there's this crazy weird chair project thing, and if you want to build a chair, you can build a chair. And so I also put the instructions for how to build these on Instructables. Who here knows what Instructables is? Awesome. If you didn't have your hand up, you should Google it. Creative Commons. Who knows what Creative Commons is? You guys rock. Okay, so it's all licensed Creative Commons. All the information for how to build the thing is out there for free. And so out of 100 people that I gave Catalyst to, about 20 people built seats. Which if you look at that long tail for participation thing, that's a huge amount of people that want to do this. It's crazy. And so we had the gallery show, and the website was still up, and I graduated from school and the project just kind of sat for about a year. And then I got this email in my inbox, kind of out of the blue. And there's this guy in Cleveland, Ohio, his name's Sean Wheeler. He's a 10th grade American literature teacher. And he sends me the email, and he's like, hey, I want to build seats with my English class. And I was like, okay. So I'd said the instructions are online. It's free. You can find a welder to do it. If you want, I could help. But go find a welder. And so he found a local welder, and he had the welder build a bunch of catalysts for his students. And some of the students didn't get it, but other students were totally stoked that they were going to build a thing. These are students posing with their homework assignment. Weird. And so they drew literally napkin sketches on napkins for kind of what their chair is and who's it's going to be for and what problem it's going to solve. They kind of explored design thinking a little bit. Sean didn't provide the students with any tools or materials. So they had to go out in the world and find these resources. So Stephen here found a bunch of random scraps of lumber in his yard, and he put on Twitter, who needs materials? Jamie had never used power tools before. She and her dad got together, and she learned how to use power tools. There was another group of students where their neighbor had a full wood shop, and he invited a group of 5 students over, and they all got together and from the neighbor learned how to use power tools. Christina says, who says a girl can't use power tools? How cool is that? And so the students also made YouTube documentaries. They're making video, they're learning video editing. They're putting pictures on Instagram. They're uploading things to Flickr. Okay, so it's an English class. I kind of avoided that. So Sean had the students read Ralph Waldo Emerson's Self-Reliance, and he had the students write their own manifestos about what their chair is and what their chair means to them and why they're building it. And so rather than just reading these abstract concepts that maybe it makes sense, maybe it sticks, probably doesn't, they're going out and they're experiencing how do we become self-reliant? And so this is, I won't lie, at first I relied on other people's opinions and not my own. I didn't trust myself, but I fixed that. I trusted myself in my decisions while building this chair. That's the kind of stuff that we need to learn in English class. And so they're writing about this on their blogs, and they're publishing it, and on the last day, when the project's due, Sean has no idea what's going to happen. He doesn't know if maybe the students built chairs, maybe they didn't. All of the students except for one, which is a good story, I don't have time for it, but all of the students except for one built chairs, and they all came in, and someone said, hey, we should put this in an art gallery. And so they put it in an art gallery, And everybody was like standing up and talking about what their chair is and what it means to them, and they're presenting, they're learning presentation skills, which is another thing we need from English class. And the press shows up and interviews the students. So they're being interviewed, and then they get published in the local newspaper, and it's kind of crazy. And so because these students were putting out their work on the internet, just like the open internet everywhere, like it was open for anybody to see, lots of teachers started to see this happening, and the educators at the school went out and kind of talked with other teachers, and so I started to get more emails from people who wanted to do it, and I said, great, Creative Commons, Instructables, go for it, find a welder, let me know how I can help. And so that's how we got 23 classrooms all over the place who are all building these chairs, because it's Creative Commons and Instructables. And the weird thing is that this is a 4th grade class from Alabama. This is an undergrad, like a college level class that's studying pedagogy in Arkansas. Like this project works for anybody, any subject. There's like math and science and design. There was a history teacher that wanted to study Napoleon by building seats. I was like, okay, I can't stop you. So there's all of these different teachers and students all over who are having this shared experience, and they're all running into that leg leveling problem at one level, but they're also running into this we have a thing that we're building and we're passionate about sharing it, and so how do we rebuild education around things that we're passionate about sharing? And so they all have that Wikiseat experience, but the cool thing is that they're all reading each other's blogs and talking to each other, and they're on Twitter, and so this is a different model than what we have right now. Right now we have, a teacher stands at the front of the class, and the students all look at the teacher, and you have an audience of one. In this context, you have an audience of the entire world because the students are publishing their work on the internet. One awesome thing that's happening with this. Okay, so Sean Wheeler, the teacher that originally kind of was like, let's build this in English class, which is weird, but cool. Good job, Sean. He's working on building a public charter school in Cleveland, Ohio, that's based around the idea of this hands-on maker education kind of thing. And the first project he wants to do, he wants to open the school doors, which opened in, fall of 2014. He opens the school doors, and there's no chairs in the school. Everybody has to build their own chair. And then he's working on building out the entire curriculum for, all of the Common Core curriculum for all of the different subjects, but with hands-on activities. So this is really cool. This is a thing that's happening. And so I have two things. One of them is that we need to put more of these dots on the map, and we need to connect everybody in this room. I don't know if it's through Wikiseat, but we need to build this network between teachers and students, and we need to get everybody on the same page while talking about whatever it is that we talk about. And the other thing is, if this catalyst, the catalyst is open source. It's an open-ended problem. It's a hands-on problem. So there's some tactile element to it. Maybe relevant to the subject that we're studying. Maybe it's totally irrelevant. But we can use it as a lens to study the thing. Like building chairs for American literature. And it's also intrinsically shareable because it's fun. And if students are passionate and engaged about the work that they're doing, they have something to write about. First of all, they're not just sitting there oh, what do I write about? I don't want to write this essay. They have a subject that they've experienced, and so they have, they can be passionate about it, write about it, and they want to share it. And so if those are the principles of this catalyst for building chairs, what is a catalyst for whatever it is that you're doing? How do we apply those principles to these open-ended, ill-structured problems and just put it out there for whoever wants to do it? And I don't know. I've got a couple other ideas, but if you guys have ideas, that would be awesome. So thank you. We're Wikiseat on Twitter and also wikiseat.org. So